honest, 5 to 10 minutes tops. Just going to fly through and very quickly introduce to you the Open Source Centre and myself. Let you know a little bit about what it is we do, and hopefully there is something we can go into. So, my name is Daniel Bled, and I currently am a Centre Manager for the Open Source Solutions Centre in Southern Regional College, and I also manage Southern Regional College's interest in open source software. So, just from the very beginning, I'd like to tell you where the Solutions Centre came from and how it actually sparked off into what it came from. Southern Regional College has come about after a merger from 6 other colleges across Northern Ireland, and that happened in 2007, and out of that, and following a little bit of money and input from the Department for Employment Learning, we sparked off this very exciting initiative that is our Open Source Solutions Centre. Well, sorry, before I move on, just give you a little bit of history on the funding side of things. Dell have been very, very good to us thus far, and we've gone through a couple of iterations regarding finance. Effectively, it is circulated and centred on higher education, further education, collaborative funding, and that is the mode in which we currently operate. And currently speaking, we have a bid in with the department again for another year of funding, which it's early days, but hopefully that'll come on board as well in the near future. But I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of this slide when we're talking about our future plans. Okay, so Southern Regional College established the Open Source Solutions Centre, the only centre, I have to say, in Ireland. I could actually say in the UK, but I'm very, very careful about saying that. There's one or two that pop up and down every so often in England, but one that is safe bet to say is the only centre of its kind in Ireland. So what do we do? Well, the Centre enables local businesses to set up and test a range of free and open source software. We go. And what do we do for those businesses? Well, we enhance their competitiveness, we like to give them an edge, and we like to leverage the opportunities that you've all heard up until this point today, provided by free and open source software. So, what has been happening since 2007? Well, 2007-8-ish. Approximately 60 plus companies, they range in size from one-man bands through to multi-globals, and also sector, public, private, voluntary sector organisations have received support from the Solutions Centre. And that has ranged in, oh, we can talk about that a little bit later. There's a range of offerings that basically come on board. So, what can we do? Well, the first obvious one, people come to us and they don't really know, they've heard the buzzwords, they know what open source is, but they may not even have heard of that. They come to us and they look for a solution. So what do? We offer advice on a large quantity. And you've heard about the range of applications that are available out on that thing called the internet, or wherever the case may be. But we give them a bit of advice, a little bit of hand-holding. That's fine, we point them in the right place, but the next point then, we have to support these companies. There's no point in sort of just saying, well, there you go, on you go. We want to give them that leg up, to give them that edge. So we provide software or support for such software. Okay? We have a couple of bases within SRC. One is in Portadown, the other one is in our Newry campus. But between those two, what we can do, we can invite these companies in and we can provide demonstrations and training, in fact, on these applications. Developed apps, existing apps, whatever the case may be. Something to fit a specific business's needs. We will bring them in and we'll show them that. Or we have a few people, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, who can physically go out to a customer's site and actually give the demos on site as well. So we try to make it as easy as possible for businesses to engage with free and open source software. Okay, so I've already said that, so it's okay. We give them a nice competitive edge. So, what do we have in the centre then? Well, have to champion the bit there. The centre obviously has, where it started, if you want, it was a one-man band, and you have myself drumming on on about the benefits of open source, and I did what I could coding wise, but obviously one guy can only go so far. Thanks to Dell and the funding that we've received so far, we've been able to expand our operations, and in that we have now got our software development team in place as well. Their remit: we go out to a company, we have a look at what the needs of that company may be, and all being well, it's nice for us, and I sleep better at night. If there's an app already there, we can slot it in and walk away. The reality is, 90% of the time, it works, that's fine, but you've got that last 10% just doesn't do what they need. Well, our development team effectively are there, and they can take on the modification of the software to make it fit specific business need. And of course, we follow through with the open source mantra, if you want, and it's all very huggy-feely. Anything we do is open and freely available to anybody that would like to have some of that at their disposal. So, that's a little bit about the Open Source Solutions Centre, and that's where we are at today. So we've got a mixture of development teams, lecturers, students that come and work on placement in the centre. The question is, what lies ahead? So, the future then for the Open Source Solutions Centre. A little bit early days, so I'm sure it's all going to be kept between us and here. We are just back literally from the west coast of the US, so I'd like to talk a little bit about that. We were out visiting they're a crowd called Open Source Labs, a spawn off from Oregon State University, and they have been very, very successful in doing exactly what we do. Basically, they're about 2 years ahead of us, and they're very, very keen to set up some sort of collaboration with ourselves and to start growing partnerships as we go forward. And I'd like to say, I'd like to get a little slice of that pie, because they've had millions of funding, if you want, and contributions from whoever the case may be of their customer base, without going into that. So, one of the other things that is worth talking about is, and we have some of my colleagues here today, is a bid that has gone into the department at the moment, and in that bid we talk about a collaboration between Southern Regional College and Northwest Regional College, Belfast Metropolitan College, and Southeastern Regional College as well. Fine. Doesn't necessarily excite you all. The reality is, all of a sudden, our footprint is that bit bigger. But also, beyond that, these other colleges bring with them expertise in certain areas. Belfast Metropolitan College is bringing on board the mobile application knowledge. And further Troy's presentation earlier on, which is very exciting prospects there for us, we are now looking at what we can do with development arm on mobile fronts, partnered in with the knowledge base that exists within the Open Source Solutions Centre. Northwest Regional College have expertise on the VLE developments, Moodle. So we have agreed that between ourselves, who also run Moodle, and themselves, that we will set up a joined up bit of thinking and development as far as the VLE goes and as far as Moodle goes. Southeastern Regional College brings on board some development for us as well. So all of a sudden, instead of having a couple of developers at my disposal in SRC, I also have a few developers in SERC as well, which is good. It's another footprint. It's all about geographic spread, and of course, everything will be shared.